Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime, the podcast where we discuss cybercrimes and cybersecurity news in small episodes every week. My name is Chloe Tonis, and today we will be discussing a teenager who was sentenced for running a swatting business. If you enjoy watching popular live streamers or gamers, you may already know what swatting is. But in case you don't, swatting is a horrible crime in which someone makes a false police report or a 911 call against someone else. One that is so severe that it intends to send law enforcement over with weapons drawn, or in extreme cases, the Special Weapons and Tactics, aka the SWAT team, after which swatting is named after. SWAT is typically called in for very extreme circumstances, like a shooter barricaded in their home, a violent, high-risk individual with a warrant out for their arrest, hostage-taking, raids, shootouts, really dangerous situations that the normal police are not equipped to handle. Swatting is illegal because it's filing a false police report and misusing 911, and it's also extremely dangerous. In 2015, it led to a man being shot. In 2017, it led to another man being killed by police over an argument during a game of Call of Duty Warfare. And in 2020, a swatting attempt led to a 60-year-old man dying of a heart attack after police raided his home when a false 911 call said that he had killed a woman. All those victims who were shot or otherwise ended up dead were completely innocent of any crimes that led to the police entering their homes. In the 2010s, swatting became a popular prank used against live streamers. Oftentimes, you would actually see police break into the home of the streamer on camera, which is why it was popular to do with live streamers. They just weren't expecting it to happen, and it was crazy to see. There is footage online of different streamers being swatted. I cannot imagine how stressful of a situation that would be if you're a live streamer. We're talking about swatting this week because last week an 18-year-old from California was recently sentenced to 4 years in prison for making nearly 400 fake swatting calls against different people. This was after being arrested a little over a year ago in January of 2024. The man targeted churches, schools, government officials, and many private individuals. Many of the false claims he made in his reports or 911 calls included bomb threats, or claiming to have committed violent crimes like murder. No deaths were linked to the teen in question, but when it comes to police and paramilitary forces showing up to people's doors armed to the teeth, it's only a matter of time before someone dies. And I'm honestly surprised more people haven't been killed or injured. This teen also turned swatting into a business to make money. This goes beyond a couple of stupid prank calls, even though I failed to find the humor in getting people nearly killed. Prices on his website include $40 for a gas leak or fire, $50 for a major police response, $75 for a bomb or mass shooting threat, and if you're a returning customer, you can get a discount. You may be wondering how he promised these results and knew how to get them consistently, and the answer is that he swatted himself 3 times to test his methodology, which is extreme, and I can't say I have any respect for this guy, but I will admit there is a method for ensuring the appropriate level of police response he's trying to get. Of course, if someone makes 400 fake 911 calls from their own phone, that's going to look really suspicious, and the police probably would have caught him sooner. So he had to do some things to conceal his identity. He would mask his location by changing it using a VPN, or virtual private network. And he would also hide his identity using a fake burner phone number. There's plenty of these online you can use, and you can switch them up very frequently. And of course he also used a voice changer. These methods obviously are not foolproof because he was still ultimately tracked down. Upon being arrested, he acted dumb and said, well, of course it's not me, I've been swatted myself. So the self-swatting, as well as testing his methodology, was also partially to make himself look like the victim of the attacks. But ultimately, the police saw through this. So, what do SWATters do to make these calls? In many cases, they're looking up public records to find the addresses of their targets. Sometimes during a live stream, the streamer may also accidentally reveal information about where they live, like accidentally opening a tab that has address information in it, or responding to the chat message mentioning things about their real-life situation. The SWATter, once they can narrow down an address, will typically make a 911 call posing as a local to the area and report that they heard screaming or someone being murdered. In some cases, they will also pose as the victim themselves on the call and confess to the operator that they have plans to commit a mass shooting or place a bomb. Voice changers have existed for quite some time, and with AI, mimicking someone's voice is even easier than ever, which makes these calls even more easy to convincingly fake, which could ramp up the police response even further. Ultimately, though, swatting relies heavily on social engineering. Social engineering is not considered hacking, but it is an important prerequisite to different types of cyber attacks. It involves manipulating people and convincing them to do things like send police officers to a home, reveal information about their whereabouts, or give you credentials to their accounts, when there is no legitimate reason to be doing so. It's a really scary skill because ultimately people can be convinced of lies, and if those people have the ability to do dangerous things, that can be exploited to, send a SWAT team to someone's house. In response to swatting becoming more popular, however, the US has passed a few laws increasing the penalty for making false 911 calls and police reports. If you become a victim of swatting, it is a very, very stressful situation to deal with. And in the moment, you may not react in ways you expect. Unfortunately, any advice I could give kind of goes out the window when fight or flight or instinct kicks in. You can't control your fear response well. But the best thing to do is try to remain calm, be as harmless as possible, put your hands up, and just let the police do whatever they need to do. It's better to be alive and have the cops going through your personal belongings than to be dead because you got shot because they thought you had committed a crime that you did not. Thank you to ARS Technica, the Department of Justice, and AP News for information on this case. I especially found the ARS Technica article to be really detailed and would recommend reading it yourself if you want more information on the case. All my sources, as always, are linked in the paste bin link in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime, and until next time, stay secure.